Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from SimpleProgrammer.com. So I got this question about fasting, and I get a few questions about this because I did this video on why I fast until 5 every day, and I probably have a few videos now about talking about this subject and why it is, how I do this, sort of the ideas that I have behind this. But so I thought I'd answer this question. It's a short one here. It's from Bijan, I think Bijan. And he says, "Hi John, congrats on 20K subs. I have a short question about your fasting diet as I'm thinking about trying it out. It's extremely appealing to me because I like work in long focused stretches and also eat very slowly, unintentionally. The only thing holding me back is that recently I began working out and want to put on muscle. I'm a skinny 19-year-old, so I've been following the conventional wisdom of eating a ton and often. In your opinion, would not eating until 5 o'clock make gaining muscle unrealistic? I'm not super knowledgeable on the subject, but I figure that as long as I get in enough calories, which would be much easier to count, I should be good to go. What do you think? Thank you, Bijan." So Bijan, this is an interesting question. I haven't really tried to gain muscle so much as, on a fasting, on a not eating until 5 diet. Obviously my goals right now are to maintain, to basically reduce body fat and hopefully keep muscle, not necessarily gain it, maybe gain a little bit, but kind of the way that I'm working it now with when I'm doing it optimally, which has been difficult lately, but is basically I'm trying to control the insulin sort of reception on muscles by the insulin sensitivity by working out prior to that 5 o'clock meal by lifting weights then and being in a sort of fasted lower carb state right before then, and then hoping that will basically, essentially what I'm trying to do is on the days that I'm lifting, I'm trying to get muscle growth, whereas the days that I'm not lifting, I'm trying to essentially be what you call, because you're either anabolic, means that you're putting on, you're gaining weight, let's say you're gaining mass, or you're catabolic, which means that you're losing. It could be muscle, could be fat again. So you can't really be in both states at once. So I'm switching between those states during the week. At least that's my theory, and so far it's working out pretty well. I'm having pretty good success with that, but so it's an experiment to some degree, right? I don't have exact answers. I don't think anyone has exact answers here. I do know that I have been able to gain weight while fasting until 5 every day. I know for sure because when I have eaten not as clean as possible and I've eaten some large meals, I've definitely been able, I can definitely gain weight only eating 1 meal a day. That is for sure. Now, whether or not that weight can be enough muscle, I'm not sure. I haven't really moved my diet to the point where I'd be trying to just gain mass. I think you can. I think that it would be possible. When again, I use a lot of comparisons in the animal kingdom, but I think about, again, a lion, right? Because a lion eats like every 3 days or something like that. I should look up the actual statistics so I actually know what I'm talking about. But anyway, a lion has a lot of muscle mass, and I'm pretty sure that lion is able to gain that mass only, fasting for a long time and then eating. Again, our digestive systems are, skeletal muscular systems are not the same as a lion, of course, but they're probably somewhat similar. So I think that is a fair comparison, although you can't draw a perfect conclusion. We have different hormones, there's a lot of things. So here's kind of where I'm going with this. I think theoretically this is possible and it makes sense. I think you want to control your insulin sensitivity, so I would be trying to eat lower carb on the days that you're not lifting, kind of what I'm doing now. I would try to be making my lifting happen at like 4 o'clock if you're going to eat at 5, so that you're maximizing that window where you're going to have that high insulin sensitivity and that you have the insulin receptors opening up on the muscles specifically, because there's this little window after you train where your muscles are going to basically be trying to restore glycogen that you've depleted, and so you should take advantage of that. You probably want to eat pretty clean. You want to eat high protein, high calories, obviously, low sugar, slower carbs as much as possible. during that time, and make sure that you're eating enough, and then measure it. See what's happening. Try it out. That's the best advice I can give you, really, for any kind of fitness thing. Is it's like, because we have different physiologies as well. What might work for me might not work for you. I think that there's more of a general consensus on what works than most people tend to agree, but I can't prove that. I can only experiment on myself, and I've been doing that for a long, long time now. And so I've sort of learned what works and what doesn't by trial and error. So, honestly, the best way to test this out would be to just go ahead and do it. Just go ahead and try it and see what happens. Just make sure that you are strict in what you're doing, so that you can actually measure results. Because if you're not going to be very consistent, then it's going to be hard to measure results. And then also change one thing at a time and measure those changes. That can be difficult to do. But that's really important, because if you do that, that's going to give you the more accurate results. But theoretically, I don't see why you couldn't do this. From everything that I've read study-wise, you don't really get into the total starvation or catabolic state where you're losing muscle until after like 48 hours of fasting. So, and you should have, one of the benefits and one of the reasons why I started doing this fasting until 5 is because at the longer fasting windows showed increases in HGH levels, which HGH is it's a very anabolic hormone that's going to help you to be able to put on muscle. So, kind of everything that I'm basing my current diet and program off of is basically manipulating these hormone levels, working with insulin sensitivity to essentially cycle between an anabolic and catabolic state, and to try and maximize that. So again, I'm still working out the bugs, still trying to figure this whole thing out. I will be putting together a program hopefully soon here, once I have this figured out and working for me, that I could give out, that would talk about how to lift, what days, what to eat, when to eat, what supplements to take that are going to help you to maximize your benefits. Because ultimately what I'm aiming for, as far as body composition, is I want to have ideally an aesthetically Superman like build, or a superhero type of build, where you have a very large upper body, wide shoulders, skinny waist, lower body's not quite as huge but still built, and you have low body fat percentage. So in order to do that, I think there's a few things that you have to be able to do. You have to be able to put on the muscle, put it on in the right place. You got to be able to burn the fat and keep the body fat percentage low, and then maintain that. So that's where I'm gearing everything towards by manipulating these insulin levels and hormone levels and timing meals, timing workouts, controlling the macros in those. So yeah, that's a long answer, I think, to this short question. But the best thing you can do is to try this out. Theoretically, as far as I can tell, this should work if you eat enough. But you can test it out and see what happens. If I would start out with counting your calories and having what should be enough of a surplus to gain muscle, and seeing what happens, and stepping on the scale and seeing if you're gaining muscle, if you're gaining strength. And if you're not, then upping those calories and continuing to up them to see what happens. Because ultimately, you should either gain muscle or get fat, right? This is the ultimate outcome if you're eating enough calories. So you just have to figure out, am I actually gaining muscle, or am I just gaining fat from these extra calories? And if the answer is that you're gaining fat, well, then you know that this is probably not going to work for you, and maybe you need to split those meals up during the day, because you're not getting optimal protein synthesis. That those calories that you're bringing in are going to fat stores, they're not going to muscle stores. So anyway, I think that's it. That's all I really have to say about that. Let me know. I'm curious to see the results, that you have with this. Take some pictures, document things, and send me, and let me know how this goes for you if you follow this strictly. And it'd be good to get that information to see, because I think there's a lot of people out there that probably could benefit and have the same exact question. So we're going to find out if we experiment and see what happens. Maybe at some time I'll do a similar experiment if I decide to kind of bulk up. I don't know if I'm planning that in the future here, but yeah, anyway, I hope that helps you. And if you have a question for me, email me at john@simpleprogrammer.com, and take care. If you like this video, subscribe.